I'm here today with my buddy Sam, known as Bee's Knees on
Bees
YouTube.
Knees, yeah, that's me.
We're just gonna kind of reminisce and talk about our former place of employment, Jewel-Osco. I thought it'd be fun just to kind of sit down and remember some of the good old days of us working together.
I feel like it should be required as a citizen of the United States to work in retail.
You either have like 6 months to a year of military, of mandatory
like 2
service, or
years.
6 months to a year of retail experience. I think of some, or food service. You get one of the three.
Yeah, because working in retail, you can really tell who hasn't worked retail, or it's been so long since they haven't worked retail. They're like,
You kind of lose your humanity.
yeah, because I go to anywhere and people are like, oh my god, I'm so sorry for the wait. I'm like, I get it.
I get it. I know how underemployed and underpaid everyone here is.
Yeah.
We could start off with first month of employment at Jewel-Osco.
Yeah.
Jewel-Osco, for people who don't know, it's a grocery store chain in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So it's just Albertsons. It's owned by the same company that owns Albertsons, but it might be Smith's, it might be Vaughn's.
Yeah. Is Kroger part of that? Are they separate?
That's the other company.
Oh,
So
okay.
Kroger, but it's just a grocery store. So yeah, like Kroger or something like that.
Yeah. So
I should clarify. I worked at a different Jewel-Osco and then moved to the Jewel-Osco we both worked at, and then you started.
Right.
So I've worked at two different Jewel-Osco places because we started at very different times.
Very different times.
Jewel-Osco, I started in 2016, like early 2016. I was 16 years old, and it was kind of my first like real job. I had other stuff before it.
Yeah.
But it was my first like real like proper go to a place, put on a shirt, go do a thing job.
Yeah.
And my first week there was really weird because they basically had an elderly woman babysit me for 3 days straight.
Really?
Which was, and I don't say that because that's that weird, having someone like kind of guide you. I say it's weird because I was the only person I ever remember for their like, make sure we train him really, really well.
Oh, weird.
And so I don't think they were like, dumb. We need to make sure he gets the best. What is going? There are ghosts outside of my apartment right now. They're like, we're gonna make sure you're trained really well. We got you in well. After that, no one in that store and no one in our store ever did that again. So it was so weird because I started and I just had this like 60-year-old woman just being like, this is the proper way to bag every single item. And she brought out this guidebook that I never saw again. I swear, no, this is real. She had a guidebook and had every combination of types of items that would come down the belt.
That's crazy.
And it'd be like, these are the most common orders that people have.
Wow.
So it was like really weirdly like efficient. I was like, this is weird. I thought this is how jobs are. I thought like jobs train you well. Little did I know.
Wow.
Little.
I started at Jewel in 2020, so COVID was still very prevalent, and I had just gotten out of, well, not really just, but my previous job was at a taco place, and it was a horrible
You've
job.
talked with the taco. We gotta talk about about it sometime.
Taco about
How about that? Yeah.
I was unemployed from like May to October, and that was such a tough period because I wasn't doing anything. So my friend Edgar he texted me or called me. I was like, I was asleep. It was like 12. He's like, get your ass here right now. The job is yours. And I'm like, all right. So I drove over there and I had the interview with Jane Doe and
Jane Q manager.
Jane Q manager, yeah. And it wasn't much of an interview. It was like, you're hired.
That's how mine was actually. Maybe we should talk about that.
Yeah.
Because my interview was, they're like, okay, come here, make sure to be here at 6:45. Like it was so proper. It was weird. Looking back, I'm like, why the heck was my working experience? So I come there and I'm like wearing a bad button-up shirt that does not fit me because I didn't tell my mom I was applying for a job. And I didn't have any button-up shirts that fit me, and I didn't want to tell her for some reason because I thought I'd be embarrassed. I was like, I'll just go with this poorly fitting one.
Yeah.
So, but it was looking back, the questions were very like, so, you're in school? It was like, I'm 16. I'm not. Yeah, I'm living on my own, of course.
Right. What do you want a 16-year-old to say?
They're like, what kind of experiences do you have? I'm like, Halo.
I took a dog out once or twice. I don't know.
I delivered phone books. Yeah. I remember one time he asked me, this is true. And I remember this. He asked me, why do you think you'd be good at this job? And I said, I play a lot of Tetris, so like...
Wow.
And he laughed at that, so I think that helped.
Nice.
Because I didn't care if I got the job because I was 16.
Yeah, and the bar for Jewel is so low.
It's so low. If you have a pulse, and even not, they might employ you.
Yeah, even if you're like half dead, maybe reborn, maybe you're a zombie.
I feel like 3/4 of the time I was at Jewel, I do not remember. And I think you just turn into like a zombie like trance.
Oh god.
Of just hello, how are you?
Depressing.
It drives you insane.
Like being a cashier is probably the worst job because at least as a bagger.
And you started? Did you start as a bagger?
I started as a bagger.
Okay, so did I.
And you trained me.
I forgot that.
Fun fact. And I started, and it was pretty formal, but like all the associates, like the lead associates, I guess, were all like kind of close to my age. Because I remember one of the first days I was pushing carts, and one of the managers sent me out, and then I got back in, and then you sent me back out.
Oh my god, I remember this, yeah.
Yeah, so
that happened, funny stuff like that would happen to me when I was a bagger as well, where they'd be like, hey, get back out there, and I'd be putting my stuff back on like the little vest and rope that you have. I was like, I just got in here. So I feel like maybe it's not like a hazing ritual, but it's like a necessary. This shirt doesn't fit me at all. Jesus, like a wrinkly, depressed dad. I loved pushing.
Yeah, pushing carts was actually pretty nice. I much preferred my time. Like it's kind of, like if I had to do the graph of how much I enjoyed my job,
like the parabola.
Yeah. It started off pretty high because I was like, this ain't too bad. Like you just bag groceries and you go out push carts. And then, but I thought like the grass is greener on the other side. As soon as you become a cashier,
that's how they get you.
Yeah.
That happened to me as well.
Yeah.
They trick you into making you think. And how long were you a bagger for before you?
I was a bagger for a while. I want to say maybe like 6 months. So maybe 6-7 months.
I think that's not too long. I feel like most people are like baggers, maybe 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, because Edgar was a bagger for 2 years.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
He was a bagger for that long. Because I was working there with him for a little bit, for longer than you were. So yeah, I remember that. I also think Edgar, though, was mid-maxing it. Because Edgar's smart. Edgar's clever. Mm-hmm. He saw all the other guys getting promoted from bagger to cashier and saw how miserable they became. Yeah. And he was like, I'm just going to be the alpha bagger. Yeah. I'm just going to be the best bagger here.
Because as soon as you became a cashier, the entire day was just like... with no variation.
You are stuck in a 2x3 square
for 8 hours a day.
8 hours a day, and people would be like, "This is not that bad." It sucks.
It's awful.
It didn't help as well as like you started working in 2020. You started working in the worst, the worst possible year.
Literally,
a human being could possibly work at a grocery store, especially on your first few days. How did you like? And you when you start working somewhere and you're in a new social setting of any kind, you kind of scope people out. You kind of get a gist of the social settings, the dynamics, the politics almost of it. Like, okay, who's got it going on?
Gosh.
How did you feel going in, like being like, okay, trying to figure everyone out? Did someone stick out to you especially? And don't use their name, but I'll know who it is. But did someone stick out to you and be like, or did you have an impression of someone at first where you're like, oh, he's the funny guy, but then you're like, oh, he's actually not the funny guy?
It was helpful going in because I was Edgar's friend to everybody. So I got along pretty decently with the normal people, which were few and far between. And I got along with everybody. I don't think like, but there were a few people who I was like, pretty friendly with. But I remember when I started there, like it was you, it was Edgar, and then like everyone my age I was pretty close with. But I remember, like
I think I was just happy to have a guy near my age who was competent.
Yeah, like I was, as far as like most annoying that stuck out immediately, I was like, oh, this guy's like really bad at his job.
Wait, what's his name? I'll bleep it out.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Yeah. Oh God, he
sticks out like a thumb no matter where he goes.
Yeah, it's really rough. Like I feel bad in a way, but like anytime I tried to talk to him and help him out, he's just like so abrasive and like he never did anything. And people...
All right, who did you not like? Is there anybody aside from him that you already mentioned? Anybody you saw immediately were like, this twerp, this guy sucks?
I think my least favorite wasn't actually that guy. It was you'll bleep out the name. She was my least favorite.
I remember. Yes.
because she was just like always like in a bad mood, and she would always complain, and like she wouldn't do anything out in the like carts, and then she would like, oh yeah, she was like, she had a crush.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so this employee that we
Yeah.
were both talking about had a crush on one of the employees, and she was romantically interested in him. However, there was one really big problem, one funny problem.
That employee was gay.
And she had no idea.
Yeah.
And
Everything in his power to like communicate to this chick that he was not interested.
as like walk away from her when she was
Yeah.
talking to him, or
But
go on the other side of the store, or not speak to her.
Yeah, she would just like working here, like stepping back and looking away. When I was in, it was kind of like I don't know what the effect is, but like
Stockholm syndrome?
Stockholm syndrome, yeah. Stepping back, I was like, whoa.
Jersey Shore, they come out of it, they're like, yeah, at the time it wasn't that crazy, but looking back,
Jeez,
what was I doing? What? like I punched Snooki? Why? Or whatever happens in that show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
it was like working with children, but they were all like full
I
adult.
remember on one of my last days there, I think it was the last day I worked with her. She wasn't going to be there for a few days. She was like, so you're going to tell me off now, huh? And I was like, what?
Why?
She's like,
why would I?
you guys don't like me very much. Because I was a supervisor at the time. She's like, you guys don't like me, so you're going to tell me off now, I bet. I'm like,
What?
no, I'm not going to tell you off. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't. Like, I have nothing personal.
I don't care. Yeah, I'm out of here.
I'm out of here. I don't really think about you. I'm gone after this. Like, there's no personal anything here. I'll be honest with you, I step out that door every day, I forget about you.
Yeah.
The first Joe I worked at, I remember looking around and being like, okay, who's who in this situation? And my thought was, it's a prison dynamic. That was where my mind went. Like, there's going to be the big tough guy. There's going to be the funny little guy. There's going to be the funny. And I kind of nailed everyone in the first few weeks there. I was like, okay, he's the big, funny, jovial guy. Yeah. She's the mean one. That's her role, is to be the mean one. She's the mom of the group. And I remember there's this one guy who just never spoke. He was a bagger. He just was a very quiet guy. He was an older guy. Yeah. And he just didn't really talk to anybody. I was like, what's his deal? Like, what's going on with him? Yeah. And the entire time I worked at Jewel, I never saw him speak.
Wow.
He was not mute. He wasn't deaf. He didn't have any kind of medical thing going on. It wasn't anything like that. He just never spoke. I never heard this guy utter a word. But I know he spoke because the manager was like, yeah, I forget what his name was. Yeah, Johnny Q came over and was talking to me the other day. Yeah, he's seen his kids later this week. I'm like, or his grandkids. I was like, what? Okay, so he has kids. Like, how come he never... And I never mentioned this to anybody because I couldn't go up and be like, hey, have you never heard him? Like, how do you go up to someone and be like, I've never heard that man speak, so what's up with that?
Yeah.
I couldn't go up to those managers and be like, liar, he never talks.
Just walk up to him and be like, speak! Talk!
But I remember when I started at our Jewel as well, I remember that the managers were overly nice. That's what I remember starting. Is that at my first Jewel, they was like, "Oh, hey, we don't welcome in," and then they were fine. Right. This second Jewel, the managers just kept coming and being like, "Hey, how are you? Oh, how's it going? Oh, who do you know here? Oh, where do you live?" And they were always so weirdly nice to me. Yeah. And I don't dislike that, but it always put me off. I'm like, I don't know about these ladies. They're asking me a lot of personal questions. Yeah. Any other memories from starting at Jewel? Like, what would... Because you said you just applied and you kind of came in and got the job immediately. Was there any wait period at all? Were they like...
No, I came in and then the next day I did like that stupid training and...
there's videos. I forgot about the training videos. So they're like, Jewel-Osco was a pharmacy back in the day. They sold penny candy. I'm like, I don't care. I don't...
I remember I was in class during that. And I had it on like the lowest possible volume. Like
they let you do it at home?
No, I was on like a Zoom call, and I had it on my phone because I didn't want to ditch class.
Oh, that's smart.
So I was doing training, and I knew the class I wouldn't have to participate in, so I was doing my training, and then the lady who was overseeing it heard it a little bit, and they were like, "You listen to the radio?" I'm like, "No, I'm in class right now."
I remember the second time I was working at Jewel, they made me rewatch those videos. I was like, I already.
Oh my god.
Like, come on, don't make me rewatch the history of Jewel-Osco.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't need
care.
to. I don't need to know not to call like
And then,
a customer a slur.
yeah. I remember when I started at the second Jewel. So the first Jewel, you know, they did the training thing, like I said, the whole roundabout thing. The second Jewel, they also made me rewatch the videos. But what was weirder is that I did the interview for the second Jewel. They're like, all right, yeah, cool. You can like start on like next Monday or a few days from now. I was like, okay, cool. And I was just wearing, I don't know why. I was wearing a hoodie. I should not have worn a hoodie to a job interview. Even for a crappy job, wear something that's
decent,
not, yeah.
Right.
Because, you know, impressions do matter. And also put some effort into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like, oh, if you're going downstairs, they're really busy right now. Do you want to help? And I was like, I don't think I even have an employee number.
What?
I have no, have I never told you that?
No.
So I'm coming down from the interview, and the HR, John QHR, or Jane QHR, she's like, hey, you know, he's coming down right now. Do you want him to hop on a register? And they're like, yeah, sure, why don't you hop on lane number? And I was like,
what? I just got here.
I literally, like, I'm leaving the interview room in my hoodie.
Oh
and
my God.
so I'm like, okay, sure. And then they're like, oh, well, nice to meet you. They had not met me up until that point.
Wow.
And they throw me on a register, and I'm logged in as someone else, I think. Must have been. And then they're having me like ring people up, and people are like coming up. They don't know I work there.
Yeah,
obviously, 'cause I'm not in the uniform.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to scan anything because, like I said, the computer system was.
Oh my god.
And I was there for like 2 hours doing that.
Jeez.
I was there because I think it was during the evening rush, so it was a good amount of time I was there.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it was kind of funny.
Definitely not legal.
I don't know if I actually got paid for those 2 hours to think about it, because there's no way they would have tracked those.
Yeah, what the heck?
So, yeah.
Insane.
Oh, you know, I was going to say what would have been fun is if we put on our old Jewel-Osco uniform.
Oh my gosh. I
And
don't know if I still have that.
But I burnt mine. Did we both burn it? I burnt it outside. I was like, because I was never going to go back. I think first impressions, although they matter a lot with people, I don't think they matter that much with jobs overall.
No.
Because you kind of grow into a job, and you kind of grow into it a little bit more.
Yeah, I feel like I had a pretty messy, like, first week, but I was just anxious, like, I did fine. And, like, they were so desperate by the time I became, I already forgot what word.
Supervisor.
Supervisor, yeah. So, like, when I became a supervisor, it seemed like they were kind of, like, well, at a time.
I would never go back.
Me neither.
All right, you want to talk about some weird customers?
Oh, yeah.